Now, verse 11. Who knows verse 11? No? So? Anybody? Let's do it together. Samam Shirupena Smaravibhasa Radha Girivitor.
Samam Shirupena Smaravibhasa Radha Girivitor.
Braje Shakshat Seva Lavana Vidaye Tadgana Yujo.
Braje Shakshat Seva Lavana Vidaye Tadgana Yujo.
Taditya Kya Jnana Shravana Nati Pancham Ritamidam. Dhayan Nitya Govardhanam Manurinam Tvam Bhajamana. Mind, in order to attain the direct service of the lovers, Śivarāma Giridhari, who are surrounded by their friends. Every day you must drink with Sri Rupa Goswami the 5 nectars of worshipping them, chanting their names, meditating on them, hearing about them, and bowing down before them. And every day you must worship Govardhan Hill. So, mind, in order to attain direct service of the lovers, Shri Radha Giridhari. Direct service, as we mentioned, means that one is introduced to the divine couple and is given some specific services. There are what is called agya and seva. So services can be of 2 kinds, nitya and naimitika. I think I mentioned that, right? That nitya seva is, this is something that you do every day. Every day you will grind sandalwood in order to make sandalwood pulp that either you or someone will also put on the bodies of Radha and Krishna. And Naimitika means on Janmashtami, your duty will be always to go in the kitchen and help with cutting vegetables all day and all night. So that's Naimitika Seva. And then there's just all kinds of services that happen according to time and circumstance, things that just, pop up. And one is then requested to do and automatically do. So there are certain services that define one's identity, and there are certain services that are just natural in the course of pastimes. And this service attitude is something that devotees cultivate. Siddhasyam lakshanam yatsyat sadhanam sadakasya. The practice and the goal have to be in conformity. So, one aspect of this goal is order to attain direct service, to be engaged in this dasya bhav. So we've read all about this before, that engage me in Sri Radha's service, and so on. So service means when you have service, then you have a service attitude. And specifically, those who become the assistance to the gopis or Srimati Radharani, they have a kind of dasya bhav, which is different than the dasya that you have in neutrality, servitorship, friendship, and so on. It's a dasya bhav, which is a primary relationship, but it plays a secondary role in the greater mood, obviously, to be serving Radha and Krishna. That means one has to be in the conjugal mood. So a conjugal mood, Madhurya Rasa, that has as its prominent ingredient this dasya is also there. And to a similar, maybe equal, maybe lesser degree, it also has a sakya bhav. So those who are servants of Srimati Radharani, they are in love with Krishna. Otherwise they wouldn't be there. So in love means in love like a young girl is in love with a young boy. But their love is what's called platonic love. You can look up what platonic love means. It's a concept where the love is solely emotional, but it's never consummated. And if you want to know what consummated means, you can look that up also. So it never manifests in physical contact. And they are therefore in love with Krishna. They have a service attitude to Radha. They consider themselves her servants, maid servants, but they're also her friend. So it's a very wonderful blend of these rasas, these relationships. And this mood of servitude is such that it is so fixed, so strong, that devotees are willing to do anything, which sounds great. And when you read books, there are statements like a devotee would give up their life a million times for Mother Yashoda would give it up for Krishna, servants would give it up for Srimati Radharani. How to develop that mood? Because that mood should also be developed here. And that mood one develops by serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of our relationship is all one type, dasya. We're all in this mood of dasya. It is not the dasya of Vaikuntha, because Lord Chaitanya is not Lord Narayan, he's Krishna. So there's a dasya bhav. And dasya means, what do? We serve, how do you serve Lord Chaitanya? Yagyai Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi Sumedasa. You help serve the Krishna consciousness movement. And that you're willing to do anything. Haridas Thakur did, or was, willing to give up his life for the sake of preaching the holy name. And even in our Krishna consciousness movement, in what was the CIS, there are devotees who gave up their lives or who were imprisoned because they were printing Bhagavad Gita and so on. And there's that one book we had translated into Hungarian.
Salted bread.
Salted bread? It's called Salted Bread, that devotees who Russian police threw into jail So we're vegetarians, so the only thing they could eat is bread. So out of that bread, they crumbled it up, and that's what they made beads out of, japa beads. And that's what they would chant their rounds on bread, salted bread. So what are devotees willing to do for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Now we're just reading over there. Eidana Jovana Putra Parijana Iteti Chitara Titire. Eidana Jovana Putra Parijana. Your sons, your family, your home, all of these things. Well, what's the point? And they just go just like that. So similarly, when Krishna says Sarva Dharma Parityaja, then he wants devotees to be in that mood where I'm willing to serve and give everything up. So when, for serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, one is willing to give up all one's own ideas of life and just serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then that is cultivating the mood of this servitorship that arises later. So here, if you want to get that direct service, you have to be qualified here. Just like if you want to be able to engage in this Madhurya Ras, that means you have to practice, you have to develop that mood, and you have to hear, and so on here. So that cultivation, that Shravanat Kirtanadhini Bhakti Vaityaditanitu, that the chanting, the hearing, that needs to go on, but with this mood that yes, please engage me in your service. So now we can see what is Prabhupada's explanation of the Hare Krishna mantra. He's saying the same thing here as Raghunath Das Goswami. So now what is the daily sadhana? He says that every day you must drink with Rupa Goswami. What does it mean to drink with Rupa Goswami? That, I mean, sitting down with Rupa Goswami and doing these 5 things. So it means do it according to the way that Rupa Goswami has taught. Do it in the Rupa Nuga way, because there may be other ways of doing things, but now doing it according to the Rupa Nuga. And what is the Rupa Nuga way? Well, the Rupa Nuga way is the Prabhupada way. So that's why it's so important that devotees know what did Prabhupada do and what did Prabhupada want. Because when we do things the way Prabhupada wants, then we are sitting with Rupa Goswami. Okay, the 5 nectars, you have to worship Radha and Krishna. So those who are initiated Brahmins, they should do deity worship. Otherwise there's not really much point in being initiated as a Brahmin. Or they should worship Gaur-Nitai, but they should worship the deity form of the Lord. And if someone's not a Brahmin, or someone doesn't have access to deity worship, or they're in a place where there are so many devotees, just like in Bhaktivedanta Manor, that you don't have an opportunity to worship the deities unless you're very senior. Then you can always worship them in your mind. That one can offer arti, one can offer food, the food that one eats, we have a picture. So even a picture, that's why devotees have their altars, and on the altars, if they don't have deities, then they have pictures. And in that way, you can worship them. So we worship, and the worship doesn't have to be very elaborate. Primarily, worship is chanting Hare Krishna, but the food that we eat, we should offer. So we should always eat offered food. And arti, yes, you can do that. Very often, Indian devotees, they have this habit, if they were Vaishnavas or just worshippers, of, well, yes, I get up in the morning and I do my puja. And what is your puja? Well, I have Laddu Krishna, and then I bathe him and I feed him, and how long does that take you? 45 minutes. And then I gotta run to the office and I chant my rounds on the bus. No, forget about Laddu Krishna and just chant your rounds. That's more important. Dedicate that 45 minutes to chanting Hare Krishna than doing puja. And although so many, if not every, Indian household has Laddu Krishna, it is not Rupanuga worship. Rupanuga Vaishnavas do not worship Laddu Krishna, they worship Radha Krishna. Raghunath Das Goswami here is not mentioned Laddu Krishna anywhere. He just says Radha and Krishna. Why? Is it wrong? Of course not. It's Krishna, so how can it be wrong? But what is favorable for your mood? Worshipping Laddu Krishna means that this is the mood of parental mood. That isn't going to what's called bhavamai. So bhavamai, what is in terms of someone's sadhana, what is the foundational mood? Who am I? And where am I going? So that foundational mood defines everything else. So if one has the inclination, yes, I'm also going to, as here, serve Radha and Krishna and their girlfriends in a mood similarly like that of Gopi, then that becomes one's aspired for identity. Anyway, so we worship them and we chant their names. Well, that everyone has to do. We chant at least 16 rounds, and chanting 16 rounds is minimum. It's a minimum. Best try to do more, and always have your beads with you, because there's always an opportunity for chanting, even if it's not so absorbed as when we're doing our meditation. So chanting and meditating on them. So chanting means meditating also, but here meditating also means chanting your Diksha mantras, chanting the mantras of initiation. It is meditation. One is meant to meditate, be absorbed, follow the words, the meaning of the words. What do they mean to me? How do they relate again to bhavamai sambandha, bhavamai sadhana? How do they relate to my specific aspirations, spiritual aspiration? Meditating on them and hearing about them. So, read Srimad Bhagavatam. One has to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. These are Prabhupada's books. This is why Prabhupada says if one does not regularly read, one will fall down. So one has to hear about them and bowing down before them. So we were speaking about that yesterday. Man manamava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. So that one bows down before the deities. But even if the deity is not there, Krishna is everywhere. And wherever Krishna is, Srimati Radharani is there. So bowing down, that one should offer, one should not neglect to offer one's respects to the Lord. When we come and go to the temple room, we should always bow down. And then bow down means then you have to offer words of praise. So either you bow down and chant, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jagatpate, or at least one says Pranam, Guru Pranam, in that we are glorifying spiritual master, and that is also pleasing to the Lord. But we should bow down, and we should not fail to be glorifying. The best way to glorify is to chant the names, Nana Sankirtan. But then we really have to be in that type of consciousness. Now, these are the 5. So, something that you tick off. Have I done these 5 things every day? Devotees keep a sadhana sheet in which they record their sadhana. Woke up at this time, went to Mongol Arati, read so much, chanted 24 rounds today, worshipped the deity, meditated. But you can see that actually our sadhana is meant to actually facilitate these things. They're not just things that have just been pulled out of a hat. So Srila Prabhupada says that Rupa Goswami set up our sadhana, established our sadhana. And every day you must worship Govardhan Hill. What's that mean? Well, if you have Shila from Govardhan, then you worship that. If you don't, then at least one should bow down and one should say prayer. What is prayer?
Namaste Girirajaya.
Namaste.
Namaste Girirajaya. Paramananda Daine. Shesha Klesha Nashraya. Govardhanaya. Or Nijana Nivasam. Govardhanatvam.
Nijana Nivasam. Nirupadi Karunena Sri Satchi Nandanena Tvai Kapati Satopi Tat Priyanarpitosmi Iti Kalu Mama Jogya Jogatam Tamagrinam Nija Nikanivasam Dehi Govardhanastam. So, some prayer. It means that, Krishna consciousness is not about getting through a day, but it's about certain planned, scheduled, systematic, conscious, devotional activities in order to attain the direct service. If that's what we want, we really have to show that we want this thing. To Radha Giridhari. And then tomorrow we go on to the last verse, or the fall stuti. He says, a person who stays with the devotees, follows Sri Rupa Goswami, and with a sweet voice sings aloud these 11 excellent instructions to the mind, which grant all spiritual benedictions, will attain the master's jewel of direct service to Shri Radha Krishna in the forest of Gokul. Now this false stuti is go to school. Oh, should I go to school? Because when you go to school, you're going to become educated, and when you're educated, then you can get a good job. So there's a reason. So here, similarly, what's the reason? There's a reason and a benefit to reciting daily. And throughout Shastra, this type of reasoning is given at the end. Sometimes it's sort of material. Anyone who repeats such and such pastime or such and such prayer, they will become wealthy like a king. And that's the benediction. So to attract materialistic people also to say devotional prayers, because ultimately being wealthy like a king ends up meaning that you become spiritually wealthy within, and externally you become just impoverished. So that's how being wealthy. But that's not what a materialistic person thinks. So false stuti, and the acharyas also do the same thing, but then they give blessings. Now devotees go for blessings. They want blessings. It's like a common thing. Please give your blessings. These are the devotees who are capable of giving blessings. In other words, when they give a blessing, so they say, if you do this every day, you will attain the jewel of direct service to Radha and Krishna. So this is also something that devotees can take up in their devotional life. And that's why memorizing the verses is good, because you get up in the morning and perhaps it's before Mangalartik or after Mangalartik, before you chant rounds, devotees sit there, Guru, Goste, Gostalai, Su, Janabhusaragani, and they chant. And they chant all the verses, meditating on the meanings. What's it take? 11 minutes. So, but it helps preach to our minds, it helps us control our minds and pacify our minds before we start chanting. So, a little more of this tomorrow. Follows Rupa Goswami. Look how many times he's emphasizing Rupa Goswami's position. Verse 12, verse 11. Earlier on, Tasyagaja, that the younger brother of Sanatana Goswami. So we've been inspired to remember and to know what is Rupa Goswami's line. Not just I'm a Rupanuga, but I'm a Rupanuga if I know Rupa Goswami's instructions and I'm living by them. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Das Goswami ki jai. Shri Śivarāma Damodar ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari 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 Bo.